All right, so the next section here we're going to talk about are terms, salary, and benefits of a president. And we know that presidents are elected for 4 years. So President Trump, our current president, was elected in 2016. And presidents also, now it's 2020, right? So he did his 4 years. And presidents have the option of doing 8 years maximum, 2 4-year terms for 8 years maximum. President Trump was trying to get his second term in our November election, which he lost to Joe Biden. But he could have theoretically done 4 more years. Actually, this precedent was set by George Washington, who did 8 years and retired, although he didn't have to. And every president after that chose to do only 8 years, except Teddy Roosevelt. Now, Teddy Roosevelt did 8 years, retired, and then came back after 4 years and tried again because he was unhappy with the presidency of William Howard Taft. Yeah, our guy. And neither one of them won. He kind of canceled out the Republican vote, and Woodrow Wilson won in 1912, and he stayed until 1920. Interesting note about Woodrow Wilson: when he was in the Paris Peace Conference trying to end World War I, he got the Spanish flu, which is something that the history books haven't spent a lot of time talking about. But during this era of the coronavirus, really, the last big pandemic was that Spanish flu. It's interesting just at least to mention. And then his cousin, Franklin Roosevelt, actually does win 4 terms. He does 12 years because he dies shortly after his 4th win, and he passes it off to his vice president, a guy named Harry S. Truman. But yeah, Franklin Roosevelt does, in fact, get elected for a 3rd and then 4th time. And then they changed the law. They passed the 22nd Amendment, which limits presidents to 2 terms. So people at the time thought that was a little much, and they didn't want a king. Presidents, they're actually, it's rare that a president doesn't get reelected. I know our current president did not, President Trump. George H.W. Bush, George Bush Sr., was a 4-year president. But then Clinton, Bush, Obama, all 8. And then you got to go back to Jimmy Carter in 1976. And if you want to really take a leap, the last time there was another 4-year president, 1-term president, was Herbert Hoover, the guy who was president during the beginning of the Great Depression, 1928 to 1932. So usually these guys do get 4 years. Taking it back another step, Taft. William Howard Taft was only a 1-term president, 1908 to 1912. So presidents don't make a lot of money. Well, I mean, they do for me. I don't make anything close to that. But presidents make $400,000 a year, which when you're dealing with the kind of money they're dealing with, and I mean, look, when they retire, they usually write a book, and Obama made tens of millions of dollars on his first book after he retired. Same thing with Clinton. George Bush Jr., George Bush II, he didn't need to worry about money, where Obama and Clinton, neither one were rich. When they came into president, Bush was. His dad was president. His grandpa was a senator, family, rich people. And of course, Trump doesn't have to worry about money. I think he's the richest president we ever had, except for maybe George Washington. And George Washington married into money. Yeah, Martha Washington was a rich widower, and George Washington married into a bunch of money. He was our richest president until now, Trump, who's going to go down probably as #1 richest. And some of the benefits, well, of course, you're talking medical, dental, all of this stuff, but also protection for the rest of your life. So President Trump is going to have Secret Service protection for the rest of his life. There will always be people there protecting him, just like Obama, Clinton, Bush, etc. Even Jimmy Carter is still alive, you guys. Jimmy Carter was president 76 to 1980, and he still has Secret Service protection as he's out there building homes, for Habitats for Humanity, for poor people, the guy. arguably has done more in his life after his presidency than during his presidency, although some would say he was just ahead of his time. Jimmy Carter put solar panels on the White House in the 70s, and then Ronald Reagan took them down. Anyways, but yeah, so this is how much they get paid, how long they're in office, and some of the benefits, financial benefits of being president.